Well, hello everyone. This is, I hope, going to be the most interesting book I've ever read, and the most interesting book you've ever heard someone read. It's a big statement, right? It's a big ask. Hey, I'm optimistic. I always hope every book I read is going to be the best I've ever read. So here it goes. I've only ever found and seen one copy of this book, and I've never, ever, even searching on Google, found another. It just has a black cover, and it has some writing on the side that just says, "The Lives of Lives" by Baldry Press. I have no idea. Anyway, here we go. It has no introduction. It doesn't even have an author. Not that I can find anyway. It has no index of chapters. It just starts. So, it says chapter 1, but it doesn't have maybe page this. Anyway, let's start. Chapter 1. In the beginning, no one really knows what happened. We can only go on what we are told through documents and stories and information that has been passed down to us. How credible any of this information really is debatable, and at the end of the day, left up to the person receiving the information to decide. It's fair to say, without being too cynical, even though this sounds exceptionally cynical, that the majority of what we are told, taught, fed, if you like, is inaccurate to say the least. I myself have a firm belief in the saddest words and the heaviest of hearts that children at school are manipulated and intentionally lied to indoctrinate them into a system that the 2% powers that be wish to keep implemented for X amount of time. I don't agree with anybody anymore when they say school is good for children. I also don't agree anymore with people when they say we need laws, police forces, and governmental order. I also don't agree with anyone that insists the need for money and banking systems for money in currency form. I believe that all these social constructs are one of the main reasons, if not the main reasons, society and human life is flawed detrimentally and, it seems, terminally. We are condemned. And this condemnation will arrive sooner than later if we don't dispose of these systems. I think it's a little strange how there's such a huge emphasis to educate school children on cosmology and geography about the so-called planet and place we live, as well as the lengthy history going back to predominantly prehistoric times in primary schools, just to arrive at secondary school at the age of 11, if you live in Western Europe, to strangely not hear of these factors of existence, again, unless chosen as specialist subjects. I am aware that I'm going to sound like a cynic the whole way through this book, but I'm speaking my mind, I'm speaking my thoughts, and I can only be as honest with you as I will be as you read on. If you don't like this book, not meaning to sound flippant, put it down and go and do something else. Space, outer space, planets, the solar system, the universe, the Milky Way are words we're all familiar with, I'm sure. And it shocked me to the bone when I purposefully, only a few years ago, had a statement thrown at me that initially I laughed at, but inevitably forced me to research in depth those aforementioned words, which I never expected I would feel the need to do. I felt I knew what the solar system was, or at least what I was told it was. I thought I knew what planets were. I thought I knew what orbiting planets were, and the solar system and the universe was, until searching via the means of internet and Google, brackets I hate to say, as well as encyclopedias in hard copy book form, I dramatically and unnervingly unearthed some very, very unexpected facts. There is not one genuine photograph of Earth as a whole, as a planet, as we are led to believe. This is a fact. This is not up for debate. There are images which apparently are of planet Earth compiled from photographs sewn together and artistically edited to portray what the editor visualizes planet Earth as. And this is not quoting word for word, but the words of NASA themselves. I don't have the exact quote, but I do remember a photograph editor from NASA uttering the phrase, "Yes, the photographs I am given to work with are stitched together via Photoshop, and it is Photoshop because it has to be." Make of that what you will, but my point is I have not seen a photograph of the Earth, and therefore also nobody has. Because of this, many questions obviously are raised, especially when it comes down to primary school education. I remember being shown numerous photographs of Earth, planets in textbooks at school, and unless my memory serves me incorrectly, this was quoted as fact. I remember being shown cross-sections of planet Earth in diagram form, admittedly not photographs, but cross-section images and explanations of the core, molten metal core if I remember correctly, the crust, the mantle, etc., etc. On my research after the unnerving statement blasted at me that urged me to do this research. I found the apparent fact that man has not dug any further than 8.5 miles into the earth, ever. I admittedly would have thought that it was a lot more than that, but apparently 8.5 miles on average is the furthest down man has ever dug from sea level. I'm going to just stop there for a second because I just want to share something with you. When it says sea level, sea level is the same all over Earth. I mean, that might sound obvious to you, but only this book made me really think about things. You know, I didn't quite just as it seems the research that this person has done or felt the need to do has come from a statement. This book has pretty much done that for me. It's made me think, wow, I've read this one, I thought, wow, I really want to research that. So yeah, I have actually, after reading it, I did a lot of research myself, and I found, that this person's correct. Yeah, they've not dug any further than eight and something miles. And there are no legit photographs of the Earth. There are also no legit photographs of planets displaying anything that could remotely be physical. Either I have to add that with not just Earth. It seems that everything we call a planet is actually recently termed that way. It seems that they were known as wandering stars since forever, actually. They are lit up like the other stars. I'm not patronising you here, but yeah, the wandering stars, or planets as we now call them, are lit up in exactly the same way the stars, the stars we know, the regular stars are, the constellations are. They're lit up in the same way. Now we're told that those stars, that complete and compile the constellations, display the constellations that we know for the zodiac. We're told that they are suns. Yeah, that's right. We're told that they are suns that some of them have burnt out a long time ago. Let's forget that bit for a minute, alright? But basically, in a nutshell, our sun that we see that rises and sets, allegedly every star we see in the sky, like Orion's belt, the Plough, whatever, they're all suns. Okay, well, alright, we'll get to that in a minute. I'm not going to debate that for now. But the planets, the wandering stars, when we see them, are pretty much the same. They look the same. They do to me, don't they to you? But maybe slightly different coloured, and they move independently. Well, the problem I've got with that, the question I've got with that is a sun and an apparent planet, aren't they very different? I mean, am I incorrect when I say, well, if planets, they all seem to glow about the same rate as well, even though the distance apparently is vast. So am I being too bold by thinking or saying that to someone, let's say on Mars, if they were looking at Earth, would Earth be glowing like the other stars? Like I see these planets glowing like the stars? I mean, they're supposed to be suns. Does that mean Earth glows like a sun? Because Mars seems to glow like a sun. I don't know. What do you think? I mean, why are planets glowing like suns? Is it the same as the moon, where the moon is reflecting the sunlight from our sun and therefore is glowing in the night sky? The moon doesn't seem to be glowing as much as the stars are. I mean, I haven't been somewhere where the moon is as far away to be as small as a star, but I can imagine by looking at it that it's not appearing to glow the same brightness, intensity, or the same way that a star is. But the planets are. So I don't think the sun shining on a planet like the sun shines on the moon, apparently, I don't think that's a reason for those planets glowing, is it? maybe. I haven't researched that bit, to be honest with you. Anyway, should we carry on? Right. They fitted a lot of words on one of these pages, you know, and it's interesting because the very first page starts on the left, and normally it starts on the right. So yeah, like it was odd. Anyway, where do we get to? Right, take it to school. Right. Archaeology and astronomy were two of my main passions and interests as a child under the age of 11. As far back as I can remember, I was fascinated by dinosaurs, space, rockets, and fossils. I was lucky enough to be born in London, and my parents, being very poor for reasons I won't divulge right now, had little money to entertain the family. So it was a blessing that the Natural History Museum and Science Museum were free to enter. I insisted, as a 4-year-old, we frequented the museums as often as possible. I used to marvel at the giant skeletons and the fossils and the skull of Tyrannosaurus Rex that was in the glass cabinet downstairs, the giant Brontosaurus, or Diplodocus, if you may, skeleton in the main lobby as you entered was mind-blowing to me, and I was so excited in my own imagination at the prospect of the earth being filled with no buildings, no man, no animals we know, but these humongous reptile beings stomping around, owning the planet we live on and know today. I insisted over the years that before we left the museum, we frequented and attended the museum many times, that I was bought a dinosaur model toy from the gift shop by the exit. My parents granted me this, which I am very grateful for, because those toys brought me a lot of joy over the years. And when I would get home, I would set up the dinosaurs and set up a play, make-believe scenery setting for these dinosaurs and pretend this was what Earth was like once upon a time. I started school early due to my mother pushing me into school and urging the Board of Education that I was ready for primary school education before the said time of 5 years old. And as uncomfortable as this was for me, and I do remember it very clearly, which may seem strange to some, I was very excited at the prospect of going to school. This turned into a big disillusion and disappointment for reasons, again, I won't disclose right now. But one thing was for sure, in my small young mind, I had two very, very serious career paths intended. I was convinced that archaeology, paleontology, or astronomy and astrophysics were my future destiny for employment. Looking back on this now, it would have meant working for NASA or the Smithsonian Society. Two companies which I have to hastily add, I couldn't trust any less. Yeah. Cutting to the chase, it seems that every dinosaur skeleton in the Natural History Museum is not what it is said to be. The skeletons are, admittedly by the museum, recently it seems, plaster casts of the actual original bone findings. This, it seems, on further research, has shocked many and has led to the Diplodocus, or big dinosaur skeleton on intro known as Dippy, to be removed and replaced by the skeleton of a great blue whale. Well, this seems rather convenient that a plaster cast revelation of the dinosaur recently confirmed has led to the exchange and replacement of a skeleton of a marine mammal that we have still on our Earth today and we factually know exists. Putting these two things together, the dinosaur is skeptical and the great blue whale is definite. I haven't been there myself to see this replacement with my own eyes, but I am extremely disappointed with the Natural History Museum. It turns out, though, that it isn't just a Natural History Museum, that it has carried out these fraudulent, if I may be so bold, deceptions. It seems that every single public museum around the world has done the same. I must, however, add that it is only the free entry museums that have done this, and I can't help wonder with my now over-skeptical mind that these museums are free for a reason, because deceiving people when they are paying to enter carries a much higher penalty than deceiving people when they are free public displays. I love this guy. So why do we never learn about space and dinosaurs and the Earth's construction as deeply in secondary school as we do in primary school? Well, put bluntly, it's because they get you early and they've already got you. The child's mind, as so-called biologists and scientists make out, is metaphorically a sponge and will soak up everything, and the first 5 years of life are absolutely crucial in retaining of information. In short, what you tell a child between the ages of 0 and 5 will stay with it for life, and it will hold as core beliefs unless convinced otherwise early. Dangerous. Primary school is seemingly a brainwashing centre to get everyone that attends believing we are on a spinning ball millions, if not billions, of years old. We evolve from monkeys into men through the course of this theory known as evolution, and there were dinosaurs stomping around the earth before we arrived via evolution. And what caused this dramatic change between dinosaurs and the man we are today is up for debate, but seemingly favourably in the theory direction of a meteorite hitting and causing an ice age and climate change dramatically. Dramatic enough to kill off all the lizards, but leave insects and amoebas and sea life to, over the years, crawl out, develop legs, and turn into monkeys, then men. Alright, I'm going to stop there again. I remember actually I went to the Natural History Museum a few years ago, about 10 years ago with my mate, and I've been there for a long time, and yeah, we did all the dinosaurs, and then I was getting bored, and my mate said, look, let's get birds, and I was like, oh, fucking hell, birds. Alright, I love animals. I felt a bit guilty. I thought, I better see the birds. And I thought, what? I'm going to go see those dead things. They're probably killed, like, the this is wrong. I thought, what the fuck am I doing here? Anyway, forget that for a minute. Yeah, basically, where are we on page 7? Okay. Basically, yeah, I saw the plaque, the evolutionary design, what's the word? Evolutionary example? Evolution, I've forgotten the word. Diagram. That's right, the diagram that shows ape, monkey, not quite sure, did have a tail, can't remember her tail or not. And it's changing ever so slightly, like 7 or 8 stages or something like that, into man. And it had the names written underneath. And I remember seeing like Neanderthal and then something, I can't remember, but yeah, there's questions about that, isn't there? I mean, I've got questions about that. Like, did if that happened, that transition happened, then where are all the transitional corpses, skeletons? I mean, there'd be trillions, wouldn't there? You know, wouldn't there be trillions of transitional remains? And I mean, I don't believe there is. The other thing about dinosaurs is, if they only unearthed fossils for the first time and dinosaur skeletons in the 1800s, and there was a boom all of a sudden because of that. And then they seem to find what we now know and they call dinosaur graveyards. Dinosaur graveyards. Pretty civilised, those dinosaurs. They all went and found a camp and said, I want to set up a graveyard. And the amazing thing about that is that there's no record anywhere ever before of any civilization finding dinosaurs. I mean, what, didn't they dig far enough? Forgive me for thinking this, but I would have thought that, ancient civilizations and man from cultures before might have even dug further than we do these days. I mean, wouldn't they? Either way, these first dinosaur skeletons in the 1800s discovered, they weren't very far down. And I just think that's strange that all of a sudden dinosaurs were found, and after this first one was found, and there was no record of any found before in the entire history of man. I mean, that's what I find that a bit weird. A bit coincidental as well that it happened to fall at the same time that man Charles Darwin was promoting his theory of evolution. The two things just seem to go hand in hand and arise at the same time publicly, be very quickly implemented into education and media and social knowledge systems. And what a lot of people don't know, and I have to throw this in there, is that Charles Darwin, a lot of his, and this is people aren't going to like this, I do, brace yourselves, it seems that the motive for promoting and agreeing with entertaining his theory of evolution was for racist reasons. Because one of the things that we're not taught in school, and they like to keep quiet, is that Darwin made a few quoting statements along the lines of black people are more underdeveloped than white people and therefore more primitive. And my evolutionary theory confirms this. He's basically saying all you black people are more monkey than we are. I find that a bit uncomfortable. I like monkeys. I used to hate monkeys. I'm talking, I love animals. I don't know why. Now I love them. I watch a lot of videos on them and I love monkeys. But I do not think people have come from monkeys. No, that's ridiculous. I don't know what I was talking about. And to say that black people are more monkey than white people, well, I don't even know how to comment on that. I'm sure you guys will know how to comment on that. I don't know how to comment on that. But anyway, yeah, Charles Darwin, it seems he was a massive racist, and it seems that it may have even been promoted so heavily and encouraged so heavily to condone racism, discrimination and prejudice towards ethnicity. I don't know. What do you think? You agree with that or not? I'm going to take a little break and come back to this book in a minute.